roll call.
Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Stepperson.
Here.
Trustee White. Vice Chairman Ryder.
Here.
Chairman Robinson.
Let's proceed with the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno Air Park Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, the approval of minutes of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the El Reno Air Park Authority. Number two, to acknowledge the surface use and damage agreement and memorandum of surface use and damage agreement with Paloma Partners 4 LLC for oil, gas, and mineral operations on land belonging to the city of El Reno, as approved by council on August 30, 2022. Number three, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2022-2023, ending June 30, 2023.
Motion to approve. Second.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Trustee Stepperson.
Yes.
Trustee White. Chairman Robinson. Vice Chairman Ryder.
Yes. Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Need a
At
motion
five-
to.
oh, the motion to.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Call the meeting to order for the El Reno Recreation Authority, regular meeting Tuesday, September 13th, 5:32 p.m. City of El Reno Council Chambers. I'd like to call the meeting to order and have a roll call.
Vice Chairman Jensen.
Here.
Trustee White. Trustee Robinson. Trustee Ryder.
Here.
Chairman Stepperson.
Here. Consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno Recreational Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, approval of the minutes of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the El Reno Recreational Authority. Number two, to acknowledge and approve award of project number M-13 Lake Trail Extension to All Roads Paving for bid alternate number one in the amount of $435,393.75 as approved by the Municipal Authority Council on 8/30/22. Number three, to acknowledge and approve the use of park funds for project number N11 cemetery pond improvements and any associated budget amendments as approved by Municipal Authority Council on 8/30/2022. Approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2022 through 2023 ending June 30th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Vice Chairman Jensen.
Yes.
Trustee White. Trustee Robinson. Trustee Ryder.
Yes.
Chairman Stepperson.
Yes. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Since we do not have a chair or a vice chair, it does require a motion of the three of you to nominate somebody to run the next three meetings.
I think if you all will agree before we open the meeting, who's gonna do that, and then go, once we open the meeting, go on record so the minutes will show who's gonna be chairing.
I think Tracy's done a good job.
Okay,
So do what?
call it to order, do the roll call, and then if you can make a motion that she's gonna chair it, then we'll have it in the minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
Can I make a motion that,
Hold on.
Let's do a roll call.
Gotta
Make
do
a
roll
motion to
call
open
first.
meeting
Roll call.
of the El Reno Hospital Authority. Roll call.
Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Stepperson.
here,
Vice Chairman Robinson. Trustee Ryder.
Here.
Chairman White.
I make a motion that we, that Tracy chair the hospital authority meeting.
I second it.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Trustee Stephenson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Robinson? Trustee Ryder?
Yes.
Chairman White?
So we'll proceed with the consent agenda. Following items are considered to be routine by the City of El Reno Hospital Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, approval of the minutes of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the City of El Reno Hospital Authority. Number two, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2022-2023 ending June 30, 2023.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Have a roll call.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
Trustee Stephenson?
Yes.
Trustee Ryder?
Yes. Okay, number three, discussion items, discussion, consideration, action, and or possible amendments to award project number N02, hospital demolition, removal of structures and debris with backfill, and allow chairman mayor to sign all documents associated hereto.
Okay, so many of you know that we've been working for several months now on the storage of the records and or destruction of the records. We've been going through asbestos abatement in the building. We went out for bids on the demolition of the hospital, the old hospital building, and we opened bids on August 26th. We received 6 bids with a range, pretty large range, but the low bidder was RMR Demolition. We met with RMR and went through the bid specifications. After this process, the recommendation from staff would be to award the bid to RMR Demolition. Obviously, Mrs. Knott she's going to put together a contract, and they would be required to sign all documents associated. So, and adhere to DEQ standards and also the asbestos report requirements. What was that? Oh, the ad alternate. Yes, ad alternate was for sodding for $25,000 to sod the area after they're done with the demolition. I'm thinking that the timing on that might not be in our favor. The ground, they're going to compact the dirt. They're going to backfill because there's actually 2 basements there at the hospital. They're going to backfill with dirt. They're going to compact it. I think there will still be some settling. And so after the settling, I don't think we want them to go back with sod until maybe the springtime. We'll probably have to come back and add some topsoil. So we might advertise for bids or get new quotes for sodding at that time. So I would recommend to not do the ad alternate at this time.
Do you have an idea of when this project will begin?
They would like to begin demolition October 3rd is when essentially the notice to proceed on demolition would take place. We want them to be done within, I believe in the bid specifications we said 60 days. So it'll be a fairly quick process once they get started. I think that at the end of this week, Lindsay, we still have a few remaining documents to get out of there. So they would essentially take possession, is it Monday? Yeah. The intent is for them to take possession Monday, but then to start the demolition process October 3rd. That's the first Monday in October.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
With RMR.
Yeah, with RMR for a base price of $372,000.
Second.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
Trustee Stephenson?
Yes.
Trustee Ryder?
Yes.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Same way. We'll need a motion for you to chair again.
All right. Call the meeting to order of the El Reno Municipal Authority. Roll call.
Trustee Jensen?
Here.
Trustee Stephenson?
Here.
Vice Chairman Robinson? Trustee Ryder?
Here.
Chairman White?
I make a motion that Councilman Ryder chair the meeting.
Second.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
New business deletions or continuances to the agenda. Do you have any new business continuances? No? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items, once again, are considered to be routine by the El Reno Municipal Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, approval of the minutes of the August 8, 2002 regular meeting, 2022 of the El Reno Municipal Authority. Number two, approval of minutes of the August 30, 2022 special meeting of the El Reno Municipal Authority. Number three, to accept a utility easement within the northwest quarter of section 20, township 12, North Range 7, WIM, Canadian County, Oklahoma, and releasing the existing easement. Number four, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2022-23 ending June 30, 2023. Five, approval of claims requiring trustee council authorization for the period beginning August 1, 2022 and ending August 31, 2022.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
Trustee Stepperfin?
Yes.
Trustee Ryder?
Yes. Okay, discussion items. Discussion, consideration, action, and or possible amendments to receive an update and to move forward with financing project number N10, City of El Reno Fiber Project.
Since our last meeting on August 30th, we had this I think, an item titled, I think it was exactly the same way. From that initiated the seeking the financing options through staff. We met with our bond attorneys. We developed some financing specifications. We have not received financing details from the banks yet, so we have no action on this item today, but we expect to be gathering those options over the next month and ready for the October meeting.
I make a motion to table this item.
Second?
So we need to table or do
I don't
we
think
need
it's
not take
necessary.
any action?
No, take no action.
Take no action? I make a motion to take no action.
Discussion items. All right, we'll call for adjournment at 5:43.
Motion?
So moved.
Motion to, yes.
So moved.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did we get a second? Did you second?
Okay. So it's time for the regular El Reno City Council meeting. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 5:43. Start with roll call, beginning with Mr. Jensen.
Here.
Councilman Stepperfin?
Here.
Vice Mayor Robinson? Councilwoman Ryder?
Here.
Mayor White?
I make a motion that Councilman Ryder chair the meeting.
Second.
All right, at this time.
Councilman, do you want me to take roll call a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Councilman Jensen?
Here.
Councilman Stepperfin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes. So at this time, we have someone from the Ministerial Alliance. Would you come forward and let everyone stand? We're going to have prayer function.
Let us pray. Father, we do thank you for a day that you've given us to serve you. We thank you for your blessings upon us. We thank you for the city in which we live, and we just pray, Father, that you bless this meeting, that you would give wisdom to each council member, each leader, and just open their eyes to areas in which need to be improved in our community, how we can help this community, and do what's best for this great town of El Reno. We just ask that your presence would be here, and we thank you, Lord. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Fryer. Would you like to tell us who you are and then lead us in the pledge? Who you're with?
Sure. I'm with the Crossbridge Church, the Nazarene, and my name is Mark Fryer. And I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's give the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any new business, deletions, or continuances to the agenda? No? We'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno City Council and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city manager recommends one motion that will approve, number one, approval of minutes of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number two, approval of minutes of the August 30, 2022 special meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number three, to accept a utility easement within the northwest quarter of Section 20, Township 12, North, Range 7, WIM in Canadian County, Oklahoma, and releasing the existing easement. Number four, to approve the purchase of a Bauer Verticus VAC 18HE3 compressor with electronic carbon monoxide monitor, 3 containment stations, quick connect fill system, 4 SME cylinders with racks, and a hose reel for remote filling for the El Reno Fire Department with statewide contract, waiving competitive bidding process. Number five, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2022-23 ending June 30, 2023. And number six, approval of claims requiring trustee council authorization for the period beginning August 1, 2022 and ending August 31, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second.
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Councilman Pepperton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes. Okay, at this time we'll move to audience participation. Anyone having an item of business to present to the city council that does not appear on the agenda, please come to the podium at this time and state your name. You're requested to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Any item being presented must pertain to El Reno business.
Yeah, that's.
You're on the agenda. Okay. All right. We'll proceed. Discussion items. To conduct a public hearing regarding the CDBG grant number 18263, CDBG 21 Storm Drainage Channel Rehab Project. Final performance report.
Okay, so yes, this is our
We need to open a public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just declare it open.
Okay, we'll just declare this as a public hearing.
So this is our CDBG drainage project that we did north of Legion Park, from Pine to Watts, that block there. As part of the CDBG requirements, we have to conduct a public hearing, and then there's a script for the public hearing that I will read, and then we'll take comments from the council and public, and then address the comments. So I'll read that real quick. Okay, so the city constructed improvements to an existing drainage channel located in the alleyway between Watts Avenue and Pine Street, just north of Legion Park. The existing drainage channel had significant brush, trees, broken concrete, rubble, debris, and scour holes. The amount of vegetation, bottom erosion, and debris in the channel significantly hindered the drainage and was slowing the water, causing flooding on nearby properties. The improvements consisted of the removal of broken concrete rubble, brush and trees from the waterway, shaping up the scour holes, then excavating a 10-foot wide channel bottom and laying the slopes back to proper grade, and placement of reinforced concrete in the bottom and up the sides of the channel. The project served a target area 141 persons and met the CDBG requirement of serving at least 51% low to moderate income families. CDBG funds were spent on construction in the amount of $228,333, and matching funds, approximately $354,042, were spent on construction, engineering, and admin. All the requirements of the CDBG program were met, a final inspection was done, and the project engineer has provided the city with a certificate of completion. A timetable for closeout of this project is identified as September 14th, 2022. And now this is the opportunity for council and public to make comments or ask questions.
You know, from the way it was, but now it is, it's really cleaned it out, and it looks good. And it should.
Easier to maintain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maintain, help the drainage, and it helped the back of the property, you know, along the houses that go along there, just keep it a lot cleaner and stuff.
It looks like an
the nice part to bring in.
Okay. Now, if we can close the public hearing now.
Now we'll close the public hearing. A motion to, do we close, take a
No.
motion? to close it? Close it.
Stated.
Okay. So we're gonna go back. All right, so, now we come to discussion, consideration, action, and or possible amendments regarding resolution number 23007, a closeout resolution approving and accepting the CDBG grant number 18263, CDBG 21, storm drainage channel rehab project as complete, and authorizing the mayor to sign closeout documents.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second?
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Councilman Stephenson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes. All right, to consider a public hearing regarding CDBG COVID Grant 18115, CDBGCR 20, COVID Response Project, scope of project proposed changes to include sidewalks along Sunset Street, Wade Street, and London Street between Grand Avenue and Choctaw Avenue. So we'll have a public hearing.
Oh, just open it.
Open it. Okay, we'll open the public hearing.
And this will be the same process. I'll read the script for the public hearing, and then we'll take comments. Okay, so in April 2021, the city was successful in obtaining a CDBG COVID response grant in the amount of $1,426,399 without match for the purpose of providing COVID response. The project was designed to assist low to moderate income citizens that live within the city of El Reno with response to food shortages and utility and rental assistance where citizens had gotten behind due to the COVID pandemic. The three areas for response are nutrition assistance provided through nonprofits, blessing baskets, and the Lord's Harvest. The budget is currently $680,399. To date, the nutrition assistance program is doing well and is spending their budget at a moderate rate. Utility assistance provided through the Oklahoma City and Canadian County Community Action Agency. Budget is currently $360,000. To date, only a small percentage of the utility assistance budget is being spent. And 3, rental assistance provided through the Oklahoma City and Canadian County Community Action Agency. Budget is currently $310,000. To date, only a small percentage of the rental assistance budget is being spent. This funding is a federal grant, and it was federally mandated to get the money spent by March of 2023. In an effort to not lose federal funding, the city has had to consider other ways to spend the money on eligible projects that would meet all program requirements. One eligible project that was identified was to construct sidewalks in an area that would meet the program requirements of low to moderate income and be able to spend the money quickly. The proposed project is therefore the construction of sidewalks in areas that primarily senior citizens would benefit, as the sidewalks could be used for exercise. The proposed area is located near Entrada, St. Catherine's Assisted Living, and the El Reno Senior Citizen Center. The sidewalks will meet ADA standards. This would be sidewalks along Sunset Drive, Wade Street, and London between Grand Avenue and Choctaw Avenue. The proposed sidewalk project will cost approximately $182,000. The city will request to move the funds from the utility assistance and the rental assistance budgets to fund the sidewalks. It is important to note that the scope of project change is subject to the Oklahoma Department of Commerce approval and final environmental clearance. The purpose of this public hearing is to take input and questions from our citizens prior to making requests for scope of project change. And I would like to note that along Sunset, we don't have planned sidewalks along Sunset. That was noted in the reading here, but the Oklahoma Department of Transportation is going to build those. So that's not included in the scope. But if you look on the map that's in the packet, it shows along Grand, along Admire, and along Wade and London. That's the majority of the sidewalk improvements and ADA improvements. There's some existing sidewalks there.
Yes, and you know, I feel like that's gonna be a really good, advantageous place to put those there, because sidewalks that have been put down Sunset are used even way into the night. I was out last night and there were 3 people walking in the night on the sidewalk. So sidewalks call people out, especially if they're ADA compliant. I do have a question about the money that was given for rental assistance and that's being spent slowly. When that money is done through community action, do people receive rental assistance through their requirements and qualification standards? Does it have, or is it just given to say whoever needs it is given?
It would be through the CDBG CV requirements that the Community Action Agency is being very diligent about making sure that all of those documents and all the requirements are being met to meet the COVID assistance standards. And then I believe the landlord is actually paid directly. I think that's how that works. Now that is the city applied for the money, received the grant. It's not in our possession. It's a reimbursable grant, but it's funneled through Community Action Agency. So those are ones that we maintain the records for, but we don't administer that part of it, if that makes sense.
So, but the city sees that the funds are being administered according to the COVID, the grant,
Yes.
not community action
Right.
standards.
Exactly.
That's my question.
Exactly.
There might be different standards, and for this grant money to be going to community action standards might be
Right.
separate.
No, that's what is Jessie Thompson with Community Action Agency out of Oklahoma City. She's the one that actually brought this to our attention that we needed to. She wanted to partner on it with us, so that's how that's how they became our partner on the project. So yeah.
You know, with Blessing Baskets, we've had to change everything and adhere to all these standards.
Okay.
Couldn't just give out food like we used to. We now have to do the standards that were passed down through whoever these people are. So I'm sure they're probably gonna do that with everything else they're doing.
And was the money mentioned, was that just rental assistance, or was that also utility that you said was that not a lot had been given out?
Utility and rental has not been spent as quickly as the nutrition assistance. So
I guess I have a question because through the Ministerial Alliance, we have people constantly calling us, asking for help with utilities. We refer them to Community Action, and when they do call Community Action, a high percentage of the time, they are denied.
And that's what prompted my question.
Right.
Independent of you guys as
In
to
Ministerial
what are the
Alliance.
standards.
Ministerial Alliance, we don't help with rental, and we send them to Community Action, and many times they're turned down, so I don't know what's.
And in fact, if I understood correctly, at our last Ministerial Alliance meeting, our president had spoken with, I forget her name at Community Action now. But we were talking about rental assistance, and they were saying that they don't do that because they have to have such a huge amount in reserve. And there was a question about that there, and so I don't know. I understand that there's some new leadership at Community Action from in the past, and there's a lot of confusion as to how things should be done.
I know that through the Department of Commerce and the strings attached to the CDBG CV funds, it has been not as straightforward of a process as it could have been, and so that's where the nutrition assistance people have been able to utilize that more easily. I know that with utility and rental assistance, we worked with the Department of Commerce to see if we could get you have to prove that you were impacted by COVID, which I think everybody was impacted by COVID to some extent. So we worked with them to see if they could get a self-certification process set up to where the residents would actually self-certify, sign an affidavit that they were impacted, they were struggling, and however that worked. We got bogged down in that, but we did notice that those were the two areas that we've set aside some money for those. And that was the intention, was for it to be spent in those areas, but folks are having trouble getting it approved. And it being administered ultimately through the Department of Commerce, I think that, I'm not talking bad about them, but that has made it a little more cumbersome than what it needed to be. So it's not a good.
So if it were, if there's an approval needed and it's approved, how would we as churches send people to where to take advantage of it?
Well, that is through community action that we send them through.
So you still go through
Yeah.
community action?
Right.
Okay.
So my question is, do the churches, and we can do a pre-screening, I mean, is there something made public to where they know if a person's going to qualify for it, and to make sure that they don't go through a second screening process through the requirements of the community action for receiving funds? That's,
Yeah, they shouldn't be going through two. It should be just the one.
It should be a simple process, and if the funds are there to help people, it should be easily accessible, and it seems like it's not.
Well, this is the first time I've heard about funds for rental and stuff. Is there a way that that Minister Alliance could apply or could qualify to become somebody that can give out these funds? Because
So ultimately, since we're the grant recipient, the city of El Reno is on the hook for administering the funds and ensuring that they're spent accordingly. But I think it's maybe worth another conversation with Community Action Agency, and maybe Ministerial Alliance can be involved in that conversation. That those are the things that you're seeing in daily life, that there's a need out there and it's not being met, and the money's set aside for that. For this public hearing, there is going to be some money moved from those two categories in the amount of $182,000, but there's going to be some left for that purpose still.
So Minister Alliance would go to community action and talk to them about this.
Yes,
We have,
and
but there's still.
well, and the city of El Reno can be involved in those conversations as well, since we're right. We're the grant recipient. So, and I think that we'd need our grant administrator, Millie Vance, also involved in those conversations, because she's the one that works between us and Department of Commerce to ensure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
So how would we go about setting up a meeting to determine?
We can get together after this. Yeah.
any other discussion? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, now we'll go to discussion, consideration, action, and/or possible amendments to proceed with request to the Oklahoma Department of Commerce for scope of project change on grant number 18115, CDB GCR 20, to include proposed sidewalk project, and authorizing the mayor to sign grant-related documents.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Councilman Shevitz?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder?
Yes? We'll move on to conduct a public hearing in consideration of a request by Faith Family Church to establish a conditional use permit for a dwelling within the automotive and commercial recreation car zoning district at 1119 Sunset Drive, more particularly described as lots 15 and 16 of block 16 of the Lakeview additions to El Reno, Canadian County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof. Open the public hearing? Yes.
I want to greet all of you and thank you all for the hard work that you do. And those of you who don't know me, I'm Pastor Paul Rose, Faith Family Church, across the street from Sonic, so we're the Sonic Church. And we have a project we're presenting to you, and my board is here. I'm going to turn it over to my brother Martin, and he's going to take it and present it to you.
I gave you all a little handout there that the Associated Press had put out back in June of churches all across the United States that are using property for putting tiny houses on to help with people in need. What we're desiring to do is put one of those cabin type houses on the back side of the lot next to the alley, within the guidelines of the Planning Commission, and to be able to house people that come to our church all the time that needs to be housed for a night or two, for assistance, and that's what we're wanting to do. We've met with the Planning Commission, and the house would be off the alley about 20 feet, would have a privacy fence in front of it, so it would be behind a privacy fence, but it would be facing west towards, I think that's Mahan.
It is, maybe.
And, then we would also, it would be fixed up nice with, all the requirements of the city planning commission and with the shrubs and everything that they would desire. And we're also asking to pave the rest of that lot as a parking lot and extend part of the parking lot that we have to meet parking needs that we're having. Sometimes we have funerals where we have 200 cars parked everywhere.
That's part of your lot now, isn't it?
Yeah, we purchased that lot, and we're just needing to expand.
Sure.
And so we're just,
Over the years, we have spent thousands on motels, putting people up.
yeah,
Minstrel Alliance, we've spent thousands through them, and, but they only give a voucher for one night, and many times we've had people that need 2, 3, 4 nights, and that comes out of our funds of the church, and we're trying to be better stewards of what God blesses us with, and so by this, we'd be able to put somebody up and save that money. Instead of paying the motel, we can put them in our little building and put them up for the night, or 2 nights, or 3 nights. It is not a permanent resident.
Yeah.
It is just temporary for people to help them get through town. And sometimes some people end up in a hard spot here in town. But we spend hundreds of dollars on rental, utilities, meds, their, prescriptions. And we're just trying to find a better way, to deal with our money.
Yeah.
Is what we're trying to do, so.
How big are these?
the one that we have been looking at on the back page shows kind of what they look like. The one that they come in different lengths, average of 12 foot wide, usually around 24 foot long, something like that. Just enough to where we can put in a bathroom in the end of it, and a shower, toilet, sink, and then also room for a bed. We're looking at maybe putting like what motel room, basically, with the refrigerator, microwave, table for them to eat at, bed for them to sleep in, and then after a few days, when that need is met, then they'll move on. We're also doing a, excuse me, kind of a conditional rental agreement where they can only stay so many days and then they're out, where they don't squat.
How many people would this accommodate?
Usually we have two,
Yeah,
usually 2 people, so we're,
every now and then we'll have some people with kids, but that's far in between,
You have cots or something like that available then for the kids?
Yeah, we can,
Yeah.
yeah.
and, we'll do, it would be nice. We would finish it out, insulate it, we'd skirt it. The house that was there was demolished by the city. The water meter's still in the front. We run a water meter. Existing sewer should still be there somewhere. We just have to find it and tap back into the existing sewer from the house that was there. But that's what we're wanting to do. So,
And we'll paint it white.
yeah, we'll paint it. We'll do whatever the city requires as far as making it look nice.
So, you're saying putting up, like a stockade fence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That was one of the stipulations that we'd have to, because we were gonna make part of it into parking lot, we have to stockade fence between the neighbor, and then we would put a stockade fence along the front of it so it would be hidden from the road.
On the north side of it.
On the north side of it.
It's
Because the
what,
questions that I had was because Sunset is going through the grants and stuff we're trying to get for the restoration of Sunset Drive, we need to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what the planning committee suggested.
they asked us to do, and we said, oh yeah, we can do that.
We've already been able to do it.
I think he's here, so.
He's the one we've been working with, so he's been a big help, but tremendous help.
I appreciate that. I do want to start this by admitting that I was not the best help to the council. I did make an error in the staff report. In the title, it shows that it's for a manufactured home. This will not, in fact, be a manufactured home. The agenda item specifically says that it is a dwelling. A manufactured home has a different set of codes, all of those kinds of things. This would be something that would be, like they mentioned, brought on site, but it would be able to be inspected step by step by our city inspector, which would, the only conditional use here is the actual use of the structure as a dwelling. Again, there are existing dwelling units to the east and to the south of the property. The zoning district is CAR. Councilwoman Ryder, you are correct in saying that it is a commercial zoning district. We've spent a lot of time working on the Sunset Drive project and what that visioning looks like. The Municipal Planning Commission did recommend approval of this item, and they did recommend, their request was to put the building facing west to Mahan rather than north to Sunset so that they could use that north piece of the property. The Planning Commission recommended a screening fence in accordance with Chapter 361, Section 17, so that there's already baked in requirements for it. We don't have to create what those regulations are. What other questions does the council have for me at this time?
I don't know if the question's for you, but maybe it is, but when it's conditional use permit and if it's going to have shower and bathroom and like a microwave and sink, but not truly a kitchen, does that fall under any kind of umbrella for like hotel usage and the, requirements or the regulations or insurances for that type of facility?
According to the definitions of our code, a dwelling unit, and we could talk about a hotel, but a hotel's gonna have many dwelling units and a different commercial building code for a lot more residences. Sprinkling, some of those things that this will not necessarily need to admit to. But a dwelling unit, it has a space for sanitation, using the restroom, a space for sleeping, a bedroom or a bed, and a space for eating. It does not necessarily specify. Usually we use a stove as the thing that triggers a dwelling, but it says it's space for eating.
Will it meet the residential building code?
Yes, this will meet the IRC. That they will be required, their building requirements are going to be that prior to getting a building permit, we will see engineering documents on whichever building they choose to move in. And those will have to meet the wind loads, the snow loads, everything that has to do with the IRC, and there will be mounting and footing requirements that are already in our building code.
So it'll have to be anchored.
It will have to be anchored, yes.
Meaning on a slab?
It'll at least have to have a footing. It may or may not have to have a slab depending on the engineering requirement. Somebody with an engineer stamp can tell us exactly how to make sure that that's held down appropriately.
Any other questions, discussion?
That's for them to park or?
And parking lots.
The parking spaces are a use allowed by right in your zoning district, so they don't necessarily have to go through the planning commission.
Okay, so we could go ahead and do that according to your regulations?
Yes, according to the regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Dustin, I have one more question. There was parking mentioned.
Yes.
Where's that?
According to the proposal, and again, we did not get into an extreme amount of detail on the parking in versus the land use in, because the land use is what has to go in front of the planning commission and the council. The parking that was proposed was also to be accessed off of Mahan and would be the northern part of the lot. The
So
northern.
in front of the
Yes.
stockade fence.
Yes.
So
On the north
north.
side of the stockade fence would be the parking, then the stockade fence, and then the dwelling unit. Is that clear for everybody?
Okay, and the other one is fine, if in the other existing parking lot then?
Yes.
Okay, so we can add to that then. Okay,
Up
thank
to
you. Yes, thank you.
You know, I wanna say that I always read and believe through scripture that the poor will always be among us. And whether it be we experience it one day, or if it's a lifetime thing, and I just wanna commend the churches in the area who work and put their heart for the people to help those in need, because that's our responsibility as human beings. Okay, any other discussion? We'll now close the public hearing. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on a request by Faith Family Church to establish a conditional use permit for a dwelling within the automotive and commercial recreation zoning district at 1119 Sunset Drive, more particularly described as lots 15 and 16 of block 16 of the Lakeview addition to El Reno, Canadian County, Oklahoma, according to the recorded plat thereof.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Stapperfin, would you like to include the same condition that was made by the planning commission?
Yes.
Concerning the screening?
Yeah, conditional to the
Yeah.
planning commission's recommendation.
Thanks.
I still second.
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Councilman Stephenson?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much.
So number 10, discussion, consideration, action, and or possible amendments to award project number N02 hospital demolition, removal of structures and debris with backfill, and allow city chairman and mayor to sign all documents associated thereto. Per authority.
I make a motion per authority.
Councilman Jensen?
Yes.
Councilman Stephenson?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder?
Number 11, discussion, consideration, action, and or possible amendments to receive an update and to move forward with financing project number N10, City of El Reno Fiber Project.
Motion to approve.
Per authority.
Per authority.
No action?
No action.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't take any action. No action per authority.
We don't have
Yep.
to. I rescind my motion.
Number 12, presentation of financial report.
Yes, in front of you have your updated numbers for this month. We won't go through everything, but we'll go highlight sales tax. For the month of September, we received $1,031,412. So we are definitely above target for the year, which is great. On use tax, we received $198,438, which is again above target for the year. So, any questions on finance?
You did a good job, Tim.
Appreciate you. Make a motion to accept financial report? No need. All right.
Can we go ahead and skip out?
Yes, absolutely. We
Thank
want to
you.
leave this fun part. Okay, so this section is intended for the mayor, council members, and city manager to make announcements concerning municipal or community matters. Ken, do you have anything, Steve?
I thought the air show was well attended over the weekend. A lot of people out, and it was great weather, and a lot of people from out of town. You know, saw it either on Facebook or advertising and stuff, and just were glad to be there. That's all I've got.
I have nothing at this time.
I'm gonna second Steve's report there on the fly-in air show. I think that it was a success, a good, fun, safe day. A lot of folks from the community I saw out, a lot of people from out of town. I want to commend all departments. I think that pretty much every city department was involved in some way, shape, or form. The police department was out there, the fire department, animal control. We had streets, parks. Everybody was involved, touched it in some way, shape, or form, and we had a lot of volunteers that day. So I think it was a good event that city staff all pulled together and helped put on. So, and we had other volunteers also, and a ton of sponsors that wouldn't have been possible without the sponsors. So that's all I got.
it's all summarized already.
All right. Well, with that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:21.
Need a
Thank
motion?
you.
Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You know,